We have a Game 7 and a Game 6. Well, hopefully 2 Game 7s. We'll see what happens. Let's get into foul trouble.
James, a special PM late night version of Foul Trouble. We are recording this on Thursday, May 15th, right after the Denver Nuggets forced a Game 7 against the number 1 overall seed, Oklahoma City Thunder. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. It was a very interesting game. It kind of felt like the last 2 games, like Denver up by 8 with 6 minutes left, and I was like, oh no, OKC's got them right where they want them again. But then this time Denver pulled away, but then Denver pulled back in as OKC forced what felt like 10 turnovers in 3 minutes.
Yeah, that was very it seemed like the team just took the form of Russ at that point and was just completely willy-nilly with the ball. But I don't know. I felt like it felt pretty secure in this game, at least into the fourth quarter. But overall, really weird game. At the start, it felt like one of those Jamal Murray games, and then we kind of came out of that.
Yeah, I feel like if you were to characterize game 1 of this series by dumb fouls, this game was like game 1 on steroids. I mean, obviously in game 1 it was just fouling a little bit too early, not letting the Nuggets burn time. But in this game, I felt like the sheer amount of open court fouls that the Thunder committed, just fouling Denver's ball handlers, just bringing the ball up the court, fouling Denver players in the backcourt was just egregious. I don't know. I feel like the Thunder, they didn't look like a 1 seed team. They looked like a team that didn't belong. Not that the player quality, just the decision making at times was what are you guys doing out there?
Yeah, that and poise. I think a lot of the times you win playoff games at the ends of quarters, and specifically just however you perform in the third quarter. And I thought really ultimately what lost this game for the Thunder was, one, how they finished the second quarter, just letting the Nuggets go on that huge 12-point run. Lou Dort hit that shot at the end to put them up by 3 again, but up 12, if you can sustain even something close to that, I think it's a completely different game.
I think to highlight what you're saying though, because I was also going to say the end of that second quarter, Shea picked up his 4th foul near the end of the second quarter, and that's what started Denver to go on that 12-0 run, was Shea picking up an unnecessary foul.
And it's funny, I couldn't believe what they were saying on the halftime show, that Shea hasn't fouled out of a game all year long, and it definitely felt like a team that was if we don't have Shea stirring our drink, we don't know what to do whatsoever.
Yeah, I feel like we were talking about it right before, but just there's something odd about Chet and J-Dub as the secondary and third pieces at times. I feel like with Chet, when he's not just taking the catch and shoot threes or getting the spoon-fed dunk, it's he really wants to get into this Kevin Durant bag with these up and unders, and it's just not really his game. It feels like he's just a little too lack of fluidity in the hips. There's not enough quick twitchiness to his game for him to really kind of have that, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, not at all. It definitely feels we saw it last playoffs where in that Mavericks series, there was just, they had no one to turn to other than Shea. And, they're a young team. They're a young team even now. And I think we all gave them the, it's okay, you're young, you'll figure it out, you're taking your lumps. But I think it's, maybe not super fair to question, but I think we're getting there of are J-Dub and Chet, are they more Derek White's on a championship team, or do they have that Jaylen Brownie kind of upside, which I don't, as far as we've seen, I would say no. And the biggest hope I think they had there was definitely Chet, but I just wonder if he's not able to guard just your classic superstar huge center, what does that future look like on a playoff stage?
That's true. I mean, Chet's so young. There's still so much room for development. And J-Dub is the weird one. He's like 3 of 15 today at one point, and I just like, he was so bad against the Mavs at times. I was like, surely he's due for positive regression, and I'm a little surprised we haven't gotten the positive regression. I do feel like his like not being I feel like he's more of like a B- NBA athlete, and I feel like it's showing a lot on this series quite a bit. And also, and not to poo-poo the Thunder too much, they could very easily win Game 7, and I actually think they are going to win Game 7 because I think their advantages over Denver did show at times in this game. Like, just when they're really pressuring Denver's ball handlers, it's so hard for Denver to get into any action.
Yeah, but it's definitely like a greater than the sum of their parts thing, other than like a overpowering star question. And I mean, when Denver has the big four really of Jokic, Murray, Gordon, and Julian Strawther, like, what can you be expected to do?
Did we talk about? I hate this is probably bad podcasting. Did we talk about how I thought Julian Strawther should have played last podcast, or was that off air?
I can't remember, but boy, did he show up.
Yes, I felt so vindicated. I think I was talking to you. I was like, why? Like, surely Julian Strawther should play over Michael Porter Jr. I just remember I just was talking about that after last game because he had a brief appearance last game where he looked good too.
Well, I thought it was really funny because when he subbed in at the end of that third quarter, like I think he subbed in for Aaron Gordon, and then nearly immediately he gets past the ball and he is wide open for three and just kind of hesitates, passes right out of it. And I was watching it with someone and I was just like, well, like, it seems like this moment is too big for Julian Strawther. And then the next 3 plays, he's just like swishing it, like not even touching rim at all. 15 points, 13 minutes, like exactly what the Nuggets needed.
Yeah, I think Denver, it's not realistic for them to expect that in Game 7, but if he can just give them good minutes and, over Michael Porter Jr., that'll help them so much. I mean, what are your predictions
over Michael Porter Jr., over Russell Westbrook, Mr. 3 turnovers in his first 3 minutes of the game.
He had the 3-point, 0 assists, 3 turnover stat line, which was very Westbrookian. But like, I think the Thunder are going to win a close Game 7. That's my prediction. I think the Thunder are just going to be a little bit more disciplined and they're going to really tune up the pressure. And I think Denver, I know they played Strawther a lot today. They even played Peyton Watson a lot more than they've played, but I feel like Denver is going to play a very tight rotation and it's going to hurt them. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I've rode the Thunder all the way to this point, and I'm definitely going to stick with them here. Like, just overall, like what we've said all along is that they have so much more talent on their roster. And, like, the number one most important thing that the Thunder have been able to do throughout this entire series is keep Jokic in check, which you can only do so much, but I think they've done a really good job of that. Like, you can argue that, the first 3 games of this series were some of his worst games in the last
He's starting to look a lot more comfortable, though. Last game, he put on the huge scoring. I felt like today, anytime Jokic got involved, they got something good out of it. Like, whenever he had a nice catch, like, it felt like he either got a good shot or they got a good shot.
Yeah. I mean, he was fine.
He's Nikola Jokic. He's doing his. He had he had a hook shot over Hartenstein on the baseline. It's like, man, only fucking Jokic can make like this shot.
Yeah, and that like they're like weird little box and one like 2-3 zone thing that they're doing. It keeps him just passive enough to make I think any game in this series is going to be pretty close all the way down to the end. But yeah, I mean, home court advantage in a arena that has a real home court advantage. I think that's enough for me to be pro Thunder in this matchup. But I wouldn't be surprised. Let me ask you this: from what I've seen, I kind of feel like the winner of this series is going to be the NBA champion. What do you think about that?
I don't know. I feel like in this playoffs, I feel like I've had a way less good pulse on the way things are going to go than I did last year, if I'm being reflective in the mirror here.
Me too. Me too, for sure.
I don't know. I feel like the Timberwolves look so bad against the Warriors while they won 4-1. But like Denver struggled against Minnesota for, since last year's playoffs and this year's regular season. Like I wonder if it's like a matchups change the way teams look, and if Denver might all of a sudden start looking kind of rough around the edges against Minnesota again, or if just. But also Denver is going to be coming off 2 7-game series. Like that's also pretty tough.
Yeah, I mean that's killer. 2 7-game series when this is the Wolves' 5-game second 5-game series in a row.
I don't know how to put this. I feel like Denver is a better team than Minnesota, but I kind of feel like for whatever reason Minnesota really seems to excel versus Denver. So I don't know, man. I don't know. Denver's looking really good. Like I was talking to my friend about this when we were watching. I was like, what does this say about Mike Malone if they win the finals?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, hey, he's getting another job either way, and I guess that's all that needs to be said. But
yeah, I don't know. It's like I don't want to have the level of analysis of like I don't know, but like truly, I don't know. There's a part of me that feels like Minnesota will look a lot better versus these two teams, just because there's just no way they're gonna be I don't know. From what I watched of Denver's Golden State, it was just like they looked like they had no idea what they were doing half the time out there.
It might be a little reductive too, but part of me feels like, is Minnesota really going to beat Denver 2 years in a row if they play?
That's true. That series was closer than people remember. It's not like it was like a sweep or anything.
It took like the freakiest Game 7 collapse ever from the most reliable team ever.
Yeah, where no one on Denver
not even to mention that Rudy Gobert game where they just won without him and all that freaky shit that happened. Yeah, I don't know.
You're right. I think it's going to be a really good series, the Western Conference Finals. I think it'll be a really good series. I don't know, man. I want to pick Denver. Like I kind of want to really believe like Jokic just kind of carries them to a chip here. That's kind of what I'm rooting for selfishly, so I'll be open about my biases, I guess, when I'm making these picks. But I think I would rather be a Thunder fan than a Nuggets fan heading into Game 7. I think I just feel like OKC like is going to be playing really heavy ball pressure the whole game. Like I don't understand why OKC, you have this rotation with Cason Wallace and Caruso and Dort. Like I would just cycle those guys into 4-minute shifts of full court pressing Jamal Murray anytime he's in the game.
Yeah, I like that. It was, I don't know, what did you make of the whole like Jamal Murray is sick thing that the announcers?
He didn't look sick. He didn't sound sick.
Didn't look sick. Didn't sound sick. Like
he
are
played
we just
sick
trying
though.
to?
He looked sick out there.
Yeah, it was. He made some.
He
sick
somehow
moves
made
for
those
sure.
stupid 528 jerseys look good.
Yeah.
Those are a disaster. You know what's so bad about those is the player number below the elevation number. It just looks.
I know. It's just like a number monster vomited all over their jerseys.
I did have a Phoenix Suns thought during the game.
Oh, what was your Phoenix Suns thought?
Kevin Durant would be so awesome next to Jokic. If they had assets, if they had something to pair Porter Jr.'s contract with to make Phoenix even think about that.
I think it's hard to even say like what the Suns are going to get back for KD. So like I feel like,
but it's going to be better than whatever Denver can offer for sure.
Yeah, most likely. Yeah. I mean, my Suns thought during the game was that the Thunder could really use a Kevin Durant type player.
Oh, so both of us were just like Kevin Durant should be in this series.
Yeah, I mean Kevin Durant. I'd like to. I always love watching Kevin Durant play basketball. James, so much shit happened in the NBA this week.
I know. I feel like what was the Celtics? It was Celtics were down 0-2 last time we spoke.
Celtics were down 0-2 last time we spoke. We were speculative, which
we both picked the Celtics to come back and win that series.
Yes, we did. Which I don't think is off the table if you're living under a rock.
And I feel my friend Kyle, who's a huge Thunder fan, we were watching the game, and he also doesn't feel like... I don't know. I would be kind of scared if I was a Knicks fan. If it gets to Game 7, I'd be terrified.
I mean, okay, so let's just quickly recap. So game 3, the Celtics just thoroughly took a shit on the Knicks. And it looked like the first half of both of the first 2 games. So that pushed the series to 2-1. Then game 4, which is, maybe we will learn is one of the more consequential games of like this decade of NBA basketball. The Celtics, once again, it was, I think it was pretty close at halftime. The Celtics went up by 9 at some point in the second half, and then the Knicks come charging back. They pretty much secure the win, flip that, go up by 9 with about 90 seconds left. Jason Tatum lunges for the ball after getting his pocket picked and tears his Achilles.
Sucks for Jason Tatum. It's horrible.
Not great. Sucks for Jason Tatum. Sucks for the NBA, really. Like, I mean, you can say a lot about Jason Tatum and just how he presents himself, how the media presents him, but whether you love him or hate him, I think the fact that he is like the superstar on the Boston Celtics, he's kind of an incredible foil for just like NBA fans, especially like I feel like player-specific NBA fans really just love to conduct discourse around Jason Tatum. Right? Am I wrong about that?
I feel like the real thing with Jason Tatum that gets people riled up isn't necessarily Jason Tatum itself. Like, obviously, after the finals, people thought he was corny, but I feel like it's the Boston fans, like, just vehemently defending him and acting like he has no flaws is what gets people riled up.
Yeah. I mean,
how many times does he have to have like a poor shooting game before Bill Simmons is like, well, I mean, he rebounded well though, so he's a center. But who cares?
Yeah. The sad part about it though is like, truly, I think that game 4, if they would have won, would have maybe been the best game of Jason Tatum's career.
Yeah, definitely. Like, he was amazing in that game. I mean, I think Tatum aside though, the one thing that I think has always been rough about Tatum and Brown, just about both of them, is sometimes they get a little too deep in their like ISO game. And, the Celtics offense is mismatch hunting a lot of the time. So it's very encouraging of, Brown and Tatum to do that. But I feel like a version of the Celtics where it's more about ball movement is probably better for this Knicks series.
Well, and to your point, so Knicks go up 3-1. And then yesterday, game 5. And really, the Knicks looked about as bad as we've seen them at any point in this series. Jalen Brunson has 5 fouls in the third quarter alone. Luke Cornett just becomes Dikembe Mutombo. And now the series is going back to Madison Square Garden. And honestly, like, I don't feel any better about this for the Knicks than I did in game 4.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that the thing that's so tough about losing Tatum is if like game 7 is really just a super physical nail biter, you do want to have your tough shot maker to counter Brunson as the tough shot maker on the other side. But I don't know, man. I feel like the Knicks have so much pressure to win this game 6. If it goes back to Boston, I would be terrified if I was a Knicks fan. I mean, just going off point differential, Pat, like the Celtics have outscored the Knicks in this series by like over 30 points.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
and I know nobody wants to hear it
team
when they're up 3-2, but like game 1 and game 2 were flukes.
100%. I mean, like historic flukes, back to back.
Yeah, like I'm not trying to be a Knicks hater. Like I think everyone who listens to the show regularly knows I'm a Celtics hater, but I'm a Celtics respecter as well. And I don't know, man. Even without Tatum, I don't know if they're the better team, but now without Tatum, I don't think they're the better team. But like they could win the next. I could see them winning the next 2. I don't think they're like dramatically worse than the Knicks without Tatum.
I think one thing on going towards the Knicks side is, of course, Kristaps Porzingis just has looked
terrible.
like a shell of himself. I don't know what's going on there. Like, I don't know if you've looked into like all of that, but like, it's just this weird illness that he had at the end of the season that kept him out like a month, and now it's still lingering. Joe Mazzulla said he couldn't breathe on the sideline. Like, I've never heard anything this weird. Like, it feels like some kind of like autoimmune disorder. Like, I don't want to speculate too much, but it's just like, I don't know what sticks around like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing I think we saw in Game 5 is Mazzulla realized, all right, I just don't have to play him. And, you know, when you're replacing him, obviously Luke Cornett played out of his mind. It is not going to do that again, I presume. But even if you get normal Luke Cornett, that is better than the corpse of Kristaps Porzingis crawling around the court. Like, yeah. And that, just replacing those minutes with like average NBA play is like, that's big. I don't know. What do you feel like? I feel like officially I'm picking the Knicks, but like, man, I don't feel good about it. It kind of feels like the Denver OKC series where I could really see it going either way.
Who do you think the Pacers would rather see?
I think the Pacers would I think they'd rather see Boston, given that Tatum is hurt.
Yeah. That's fair. And I think that's the right choice. But also, I don't know. I guess both sides have like pretty sick perimeter defenders. I do feel like the other reason why they would probably want Boston is I think Boston is more keen to like fall into their play style, kind of the way we saw Cleveland, like, you know, just acquiesce the pace to how the Pacers wanted to play. Whereas like we just know no matter what, the Knicks are just going to muck it up. They're going to control the boards for the most part. They're going to slow it down. And I don't even know if the Pacers can like have the rebounding chops to counteract that. But yeah, I don't know. It feels like this is the Knicks' time. Like I want to see a big Knicks win in the Garden. But just, yeah, something feels wrong.
What feels wrong is that the better team is down. No one wants to hear it. I know everyone hates the Celtics, myself included, but like clearly they are the better team in my opinion. And I know that's going to drive people crazy because they're down in the series, but like the point differential I think speaks for itself.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about Celtics off-season stuff now, or should we just keep moving along and we'll deal with that when they are eliminated?
I mean, I guess I've heard like some people talk about it. I guess no one really knows how to talk about it. I mean, everyone knows they're going to try to cut player salary because they're so deep into the luxury tax that any savings on the player side is going to help the team out a lot financially, which obviously new ownership, it seems like they're going to not necessarily be cheap, but they're not going to be most expensive payroll in NBA history. Especially the year Tatum is out.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty simple, honestly. It's like you have this amazing find in Peyton Pritchard, a guy that's grown, I think, leaps and bounds, definitely past what I thought he was going to be able to be. And we've seen the slow deterioration of Drew Holiday. So it's like, and you kind of have this found money season now. So in my mind, it's like, get whatever picks and like non-guaranteed contracts you can get for Drew Holiday and just, you know, get under the second apron, but you're probably not going to be able to get under the first apron. And
yeah, I've heard some people be like, should they tank? And I don't see how a team with Derek White, Jaylen Brown, like Peyton Pritchard, Sam Hauser, like I think Al Horford will come back. I know he's old, but Al Horford is still a good player. I just don't see a world where a team with those players in the Eastern Conference could tank unless they really try to bottom out. But like, why would you ever try to get rid of guys like Jaylen Brown and Derek White?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Yeah, there's been a lot of like, I feel like in the national media, people floating like, oh, maybe they can trade Derek White. Like, Why would they ever want to do that?
Yeah, why would you ever trade Derek White? Derek White is like the guy. I think if you try to trade Derek White, like even the Wizards would be like, "What do we do here?"
Yeah, like you want a first round pick, top 5 protected, we got you.
Yeah. All right, I'm officially gonna pick the Knicks just out of respect for the fact that the Celtics lost their best player.
Yeah, me too. I'm right there. We have had a absolutely historic, like Jalen Brunson playoffs, and I don't want it to end yet. So I'm manifesting. I want to see it. I don't want to see a Game 7. I just want to see it all. Timmy and Kylie in the front row, jumping up and down. It'll be beautiful. America's back. Let's go.
You know what's interesting? Because a lot of people have been hyping up the Knicks-Pacers rivalry. And I have to say, what makes a good rivalry? Is it the rivalry between the fans or the players? Because people are like, well, Knicks and Celtics have no history. I don't know how anyone isn't watching this series and not realizing I feel like Knicks fans and Celtics fans detest each other in a way that I feel like Knicks fans and Pacers fans probably do, but like Boston and New York are accessible to each other in a way that Indianapolis and New York are not, I feel like. And so the fan exposure to the other fans is so much more heightened.
Well, I think there's like 3 different ways, and you hit the nail on the head right there. It's either, the fan bases hate each other, it's the players hate each other, or the cities hate each other. And that is something that Boston and New York will always have.
Yeah,
over almost any other combination of cities.
Yeah, because I feel like the thing with Pacers, Knicks is yes, they had those great battles in the 90s, but the thing that makes I feel like the New York Boston thing special, it's they met in the Super Bowl. The Yankees and the Red Sox are want to kill each other. It's like every sport. They're just so and it's all the same fans, so they just know each other.
100%. Well, and I think part of the charm of the Pacers-Knicks rivalry throughout the years has always been that, New York doesn't think about them. New York doesn't think about the little corn town. And Pacers, honestly, it's coming from an Arizona guy. It's kind of like all Arizona-LA rivalries of the LA teams don't care, but the little brother smaller market city just wants to see the big market suffer. And then, of course, there's all the Reggie Miller, Spike Lee things. Those were huge. And I mean, of course, we're going to get Reggie Miller calling all of these games. So I don't know. I don't really think that adds much to it, but it's something. And, second year in a row, so we're building.
I didn't remember that Pacers-Knicks went to 7 last year. For some reason, I remember it being Brunson got hurt and the Pacers wrapped it up quick. I didn't remember it being as close as I guess it was.
It was I could be wrong about this, but I think most of the games were kind of blowouts, but it was just they were taking turns. It was a classic 2016
2016, 2018. Yeah. I feel like a lot of series in the late 10s were like that. It's a close series, but every game wasn't close.
Yeah, every game was decided by 35 points or more.
Yeah. All right, so, I mean...
James...
I don't really know where to go from here. We have 2 very confusing conference finals ahead of us.
I've got 3 things written down. We have 2 teams that we have the opportunity to say goodbye to in the Warriors and the Cavs. Shout out 2016 NBA Finals. And then we have the draft lottery that we still need to
Oh my God,
on.
We didn't talk about the draft lottery. Well, I mean, I don't know what to say about the Warriors. Is really difficult to talk about because obviously they looked great when Curry was healthy. Then Curry got hurt and they looked abysmal. Feels like they need a third scoring punch that will probably supersede Jimmy next season. So basically a second scoring punch.
So that's kind of the question. That's the only feasible question for the Warriors is, do you bring back Jonathan Kuminga, and what is the contract that you're comfortable bringing him back on?
I feel like they got to sign and trade Kuminga. I mean, they just made it clear that he's not really part of their system.
Yeah, because basically with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, with 9 guys, including like a bunch of your minimum guys like Guy Santos, Quentin Post, those guys, you are about $25 million underneath the first apron if you're the Warriors. And I think, like, realistically, Kuminga's contract is going to probably be around there, the mid to lower 20s per year, because that's just what everybody gets paid nowadays. But the question is, like, are you going to get better than that? Are you going to get better than Jonathan Kuminga in like a sign and trade situation?
You may not get a better player, but you might get someone that can play in the Warriors system more effectively. Because did you read the article that was like Kuminga wouldn't pass to Curry on cuts, and that's what got him benched for a long time?
Yeah, I saw Steve Kerr didn't like he was looking off Steph.
I mean, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, especially watching the Denver game today, like there was one point where there's like 8 on the shot clock and Peyton Watson took a turnaround and I audibly groaned.
Yeah.
So I was like, dude, just get it to Jokic. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, those Peyton Watson like turnaround shots and just like and him and Westbrook, like the dueling banjos of trying to shatter the backboard with the basketball.
But it sounds like Kuminga is the grown guy for the Warriors coaching staff, maybe not Warriors fans. So I feel like he's gone.
My question?
You want Wiggins back?
Draymond. This is Draymond time.
Like time to trade Draymond?
Yeah.
I feel like
$25 million.
Hey, this is what I was pushing last year, man.
No, hey, I feel like we were both on board for it. But right now, I'm like, Draymond just had this like defensive player of the year push at the end of the year. He's got $25 million next year on the books, then a player option for $27 million the next year. So it's only, he'll only have one more year past next year. Like, what are the odds that he's going to be valuable after next season?
I don't know. You know what? I don't know. I feel like he'll look maybe like he did this year.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, the thing
maybe
the stuff he's doing this year is not, from an offensive standpoint, that defensively the IQ jumps off the charts. Obviously, he just knows where to be at all times. That's kind of difficult to replace, especially for a team that's trying to play small a lot. But he is what unlocks the small. I mean, unless they're ready to really change the whole status quo. But like, I feel like he's gonna stay. I don't really see
probably,
a world where,
yeah.
Is there a Jonathan Kuminga to the Heat back for Wiggins?
Don't hate it. I feel like that would be kind of low-key good for the Heat.
And for the Warriors.
Is there, I don't even know if this would be possible. Like, is there like a Kuminga, Draymond for KD?
KD already said no to the Warriors apparently already this year, so I don't think
he just didn't want to move in the middle of the season. And who knows? Maybe he just didn't want to be on Draymond's team again.
Maybe, yeah. Draymond for Jordan Poole.
That's it. That's the move. Okay, Cavaliers. Do you have anything?
Yeah, I do. I don't want to take away from the Pacers. I'm not doing that. The Pacers won with all those guys playing. We don't know how much the injuries played a part for Mobley, Garland, and Hunter. So let's not say a lot. Let's not say nothing.
I will say it was pretty obvious for Garland, at least, that he was pretty slowed down.
And obviously they missed games early in the season. Series. I don't think Cleveland would have been 4-1 had they been fully healthy. And I think if you're the Cavs, the worst thing you could do is overreact to this.
Yeah.
Especially because I think the
Pacers.
I think the Pacers are probably going to be running this team back next year. I don't really foresee the Pacers being dramatically better from some sort of acquisition. I think Pacers most likely, right? I would assume we're all feeling that way. Knicks are kind of stuck in their team construction unless they pull off the Giannis trade somehow. Obviously, the Celtics are a lot less scary without Tatum next year. If I'm Cleveland, I don't know what you do because they kind of did everything right to be healthy for the moment and it just didn't end up working. But I would run it back. I don't know. Am I being a little too like?
I think if there's an opportunity to improve yourself, you do it. If you're the Cavaliers,
Cavs, of course. But I wouldn't trade a big player, I guess, if I were the Cavs.
If you can get the best player in the deal, like, yes, and if not, no. The thing is like they're getting expensive.
Yeah.
Next year, they just flat out will probably be in the second apron with the players that they have on their roster right now. They're about $5 million over that second apron, but they've got Isaac Okoro making $11 million next year. Like, I think you could probably move off him to like get a little bit of flexibility there, but at the same time, Ty Jerome, he's an unrestricted free agent. Like, are you going to be able to bring him back? I would guess probably not. My biggest thing with the Cavs is, like, you know, you can everything that has been said about Kenny Atkinson, like changing the material of this team, I think was real. But at the end of the day, in my opinion, they did the exact same thing that we've seen from them the last 3 years. And that is just like play on the other team's terms throughout, you know, getting eliminated basically. And, you know, that has nothing to do with Donovan Mitchell. I think Donovan Mitchell, he's leading the league in, or the playoffs at this point in points per game for people who got to the second round. Like, he's incredible, but is there, like, I don't know what to say. Maybe it's just the fact that Darius Garland wasn't himself, wasn't able to stir the drink the way that he should have. I think there was a lot of Max Strus like ISO ball, especially in that last game, that they don't need. But if we take out these little pieces, these little cards, does the whole tower fall? Is it about the depth or is it about the stars?
I think Cleveland is more about the lineup, the four-man lineup, and then figuring out if Hunter's the guy there, Strus is the guy there. I guess my thing is I do feel like if they were healthier, it would be a different series because they lose the first game. The second game, they miraculously choke. They blow the 8-point lead with 40 seconds left. Donovan Mitchell is so gassed because he's the only viable guard because Ty Jerome, I guess, loses his superpowers once he crosses the 20-minute threshold in a given game. That wasn't good for them. I mean, Ty Jerome completely falling apart hurt them a lot in this series. I mean, this series could still be going on if he was just better in like 2 of the games.
Yeah. No, I mean, they definitely needed him, but that's also tough. It's like, if you're in a place where like you need Ty Jerome that much, like, are you a contender? And then it's just like the other thing that I think needs to be pointed out is like the Jared Allen question of just like, you are built to be this double big team, and in reality, in the playoffs, you play super small.
Yeah, is there like a Jared Allen trade that you think makes sense for them? And like, what kind of player should they try to get back in that trade?
You know, I mean, they would have to replace.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. It just came in and out a little bit. What's your worry?
My worry for a team like them is like if they next year, took advantage of Tatum's absence and, maybe the injuries break their way next year and they're in the finals and it's like you're playing, I don't know, you've replaced Jared Allen with a wing or, another guard to come off the bench that's really good. Or I don't know, just some permutation where Mobley at the 5 is the main feature of your team. And it's like, have fun guarding Denver, buddy.
Yeah.
You have no answers because your guards are not, pressuring Denver's ball handlers and your center cannot guard Jokic at all, which again, no one can, but at least make it difficult. And Mobley, for as good as he is at defense, is not, I just feel like they'd be ill suited to defend. I feel like ill-suited to defend some of the Western contenders with that team build, I guess, is my worry.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And, we've seen that they can't really guard the Celtics. We've seen that they can't, or they struggle at least to play against Indiana's play style. So, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see like a minor move. I think like a Steven Adams type guy that could just like give them a knuckleball to throw would be really nice. But it's hard to say.
Maybe Chris Paul?
Chris Paul
in place of Ty Jerome could be good, especially at low cost if luxury taxes are a big concern. I don't know if Chris Paul will be willing to go there, but
Tyce Jones.
I just don't think Chris Paul's going like 1 of 15 in game 2, and I don't think they blow an 8-point lead with that much time left if Chris Paul's on the court with them.
Yeah, at least they're not going to be struggling to passing the ball.
Yeah,
anymore.
Exactly. Like that's where I'm like, I don't know. But I mean, again, not to take anything away from the Pacers. The Pacers were awesome, and the reason the Pacers had to come back like that wasn't because it was a miracle. It's because the Pacers forced it to happen.
Yeah,
and I think the Pacers have cemented themselves to be on the Cavaliers level. Over the last 50 games of the regular season, they were both 35 and 15. So I think the Pacers have shown to. I mean, they just won the series. We can call them the better team, but I think Cleveland throughout the whole year has shown that they're on the Pacers level. I'll throw it that way.
Yeah, I think
that's why if I was Cleveland, I wouldn't overreact. But I feel like I've also been on like Cleveland shouldn't overreact for like 2 years now. So maybe I'll give them one more year before I start to switch sides, though.
Jonathan Kuminga?
No, please no.
Okay. The most dramatic thing that happened this week was not on the basketball court at all. It was the NBA draft lottery where the Dallas Mavericks, led by their genius GM, Nico Harrison, jumped 10 spots in the lottery to win the Cooper Flag sweepstakes, followed by San Antonio at 2 and Philadelphia at 3, Charlotte at 4, Utah bringing up the rear at 5. Like, there's a million different things, but I guess we just have to start in Dallas. Like, what does adding Cooper Flag mean to this franchise that has had such a roller coaster last 6 months?
It means Daniel Gafford's getting traded, and maybe PJ Washington's getting traded. And I think those guys are going to get traded for guards so they can, boost up their backcourt while Kyrie's hurt. And I think they go for the championship next year. And I think if you can get a good guard from those trades, if you get Austin Reeves for Daniel Gafford and or something like that, I don't know. Is there another Laker trade on the horizon? Like, I think this is Dallas could be really good next year, right? I mean, you're going to start Lively and AD and bring either Cooper off the bench or play him at the 3, and then probably play him at the 3, and then I'm sure your crunch time lineup is going to be Cooper at the 4 with AD at the 5. I mean, that sounds pretty good, especially if Kyrie comes back and looks good, and whatever guard you get from that trade is also looking good. I mean, I think Dallas is in a great position to be a contender next year.
Yeah, I agree with you, and it's absolutely sickening. I mean, one name that like kind of brings us full circle for this whole podcast that I think Dallas should look into and continue to call about is Drew Holiday. Talk about defense wins championships, Nico Harrison. I think he would be the perfect steady hand. I don't think they're going to need that much scoring out of that position, and it seems like either a Daniel Gafford would be something that the Celtics would really need.
I have to veto this trade
because it would make both the Mavs and the Celtics too good.
Daniel Dyson said New Orleans Pelicans are a cursed franchise, and I don't need the Drew Holiday, Anthony Davis voodoo.
Oh, true.
All right, for purely like Clippers are a cursed franchise-esque reasons, I'm going to veto that trade. Not because it doesn't make sense.
Okay, that's fair.
I don't like the juju for that trade.
The Drew for that trade. It's all wrong.
But what kind of player do you think they could get for? Let's not even consider contracts just to make it simple. But like for a Gafford, PJ package, like.
I mean, like. Not only that, they have that unprotected Lakers pick. Mm-hmm. I think you're pretty much swimming in the area of almost any player that is available on the market outside of a Giannis, like I think that is damn near like a Kevin Durant package right there. If they wanted to do that, I know the money doesn't quite work there, but another interesting thing that I think they could look at is like Chicago. Like I don't know if a Kobe White, like if it seems like he's in their future plans, but if he wasn't, I think he could be gettable there. Maybe a Malik Monk from Sacramento makes a little bit of sense if you want to go really crazy and just completely contrary to everything Nico Harrison has said this whole time. I mean, hell, that's definitely enough defense to insulate a Trae Young, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I just would be worried about Trae Young, Kyrie whenever Kyrie gets back, because you want a guard that is more of a playmaker than a scorer for sure.
Yeah. Which I mean, Trae Young can fill that. But...
Yeah, I think defensively you just might be worried. Although that Flag Davis
Lively
would be
that is sick.
That is sickening. Yeah. Yeah, I think for bad karma reasons the Mavs won't end up winning the title next year, but I think that is a bona fide great team after assumed trades I think they're going to make.
Yeah, I mean, just think about how they would match up against the two teams that we watched tonight in Oklahoma City.
Oh, they'd be giving them fits.
And Denver. Like they have 3 guys maybe in that starting lineup who can get real minutes guarding Jokic. And then, I mean, they're just going to be like giving Chet a noogie the entire series if they have to play OKC.
Yeah. No, I mean, what a break for Dallas, man. What a break for Dallas. This is what I've been talking to people about, and I've got a lot of pushback, so I might be on the wrong side of this because I think logically I am, but I feel like there's 2 types of teams that are really bad in the NBA. There's like the Utah Jazz, who are intentionally really bad. Like they have a better team than their record suggests. They're like benching guys in the fourth quarter. It's like kind of just outright tanking. And then there's a team like the Washington Wizards who I think are just bad. I don't even know if it's an intentional tank at this point. Like, I think they are just bad. Because, like, if you're tanking and you're the Wizards, you don't sign Jonas Valanciunas. I know they ended up trading him, right? But, like, you don't sign a guy like that if you intend to be the worst team you possibly can.
See, I would almost argue, though, that the teams like Chicago and Sacramento and Portland are more dysfunctional and more, I don't know, just worse than a team like Washington, because at least Washington knows where it's going. And
I'm not arguing Washington's more. I think since Washington's new GM has come in, they've proven to be a more functional franchise. Like they are doing trades. Like let's trade for AJ Johnson in the Milwaukee trade so we can just get another young guy in here and see what he can be. I think Washington's playing it beautifully. I guess what's hard, though, is if you're Washington now and you have the 6th pick, you don't really have a real avenue for becoming a competent team. Because presumably, like, right, all of these teams are trying to not be here next year.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I guess all I'll say to that is, like, and you know this, like, you look at any draft, like, how often is the best player in the draft drafted number 1?
That's true. That's very true. That could happen any year, even a year like this. I guess not to make a point, I guess I'm just curious, where do you think the lottery odds, like the super flat odds we have now, are good, or do you think they should be bumped up a little bit toward the bottom teams? Like what do you think about that?
I think that the whole point of this is to scare teams out of tanking. And that is a thought, like tanking is so solidified in our brains as like NBA fans, NBA thinkers, that as the way to acquire young talent. And once that gets stigmatized, then these lottery odds work. And I think this year was a huge step towards that.
Yeah. And last year, I mean, the Hawks also jumped pretty high.
Yeah, it's harder last year because there wasn't that Cooper Flag prize.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be tough, and we're going to make some super, super teams out of this. Because, you know, we haven't even talked about San Antonio yet. I think it just makes more and more sense that Giannis could be heading there now.
I agree. You know, I was talking to someone that said they saw that the Spurs are like 100% making that pick. I think it's weird if they go Harper at 2, who's the presumed number 2 pick, because now you're gonna have Fox, Castle, and Harper, and you've got 3 guards who all have no like elite shooting chops between the 3 of them.
Yeah,
I think that's a weird fit for Harper with Fox.
What would you say? What would you say you were gonna do with that pick if you were the GM of the Spurs right now and you really wanted Giannis? Because I would say we're definitely gonna take this pick, or we're definitely gonna make the pick.
That's true. Again, but I guess my worry though with the Giannis trade, because I didn't thought about it like that, is you're gonna surround Victor with 2 non-great shooting guards, and now Giannis, and now Victor, who we already probably all want to play the paint a little bit more than he already does, is encouraged to go out to the 3-point line. I don't know if I'm San Antonio, I feel like you're kind of working toward a team that can't shoot, which is very not Spursy.
I mean, the idea of Vic is that he can shoot. He can, and we've seen real spans in his career so far where he shot well from 3. And my other thing is, even if he can't shoot, outscore us. I dare you.
Dude, but that team might be easy to outscore. I mean, there were a lot of Milwaukee teams Giannis played on that were not great offensively.
But, well, yeah, there was a lot of great Milwaukee teams that were not great offensively, but did those teams win?
Once, when Kevin Durant stepped on and his teammates were injured, that was the year they did it.
No, that's not what I mean. Did they win in the regular season?
Yes.
Yes, they did. They won buckets full of games.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like the shooting on those teams, though, is like... I would just be worried about the Spurs. Harper or Giannis, what kind of level of jump shooting the team has. Maybe I'm over-worrying, but I feel like I'd be a little worried about that.
I'm a little worried about it, but I also feel like, I don't know, like, is the new shooting just controlling possessions? Because I think that team would be elite at winning the possession battle.
Yeah,
at
that's
the bare
true.
minimum.
That's true. I think it'd be a team that would do way better in the playoffs, given how we've seen how much every team's offense seems to come down, flying down with the increased physicality, whereas that team feels like it's kind of built for it. I mean, if you've got Castle and Harper out there, you've got these 2 big, thick, strong guards. Like, I wouldn't want to deal with that. And you've got Fox playing too. Like, I feel like Fox is almost the weird odd man out if they don't make the Giannis trade. I don't know what you think about that.
Oh, I mean, I love that shit. I don't think they would do it, but like flipping Fox right now before you have to pay him, like, it makes a lot of sense. Like, imagine picking Harper, trading Fox, and then using that haul from Fox. Like, they have a shit ton of picks anyways right now. Using all of that Fox load to trade for Giannis, even just trading Fox for Giannis, like, what are the Bucks going to do right now? We talked about it last year. They kind of need to win.
Yeah.
De'Aaron Fox would help with that.
Yeah, and I like Fox. Yeah, I guess, I mean, if you had to pick between Şengün and Fox, like, what are you...
I mean...
I don't think that's an easy decision. I think that's a definitely think about it.
Yeah, it's definitely a think about it. It's like Şengün's cost controlled right now to a certain extent. It's like you know how much, because he just signed that extension last year, and Fox is going to sign his super, super big contract coming up. And Fox is probably a little bit better, but there's definitely upside there for Şengün.
And then Philly at 3 is probably going to be Edgecombe, Bailey.
They definitely don't trade that pick, right?
No, there's no way.
Yeah, probably not. The thing I always think about with Morey is just like, when he was in Houston, all that dude talked about was like, oh, I just want to get as many Olympic players as possible. I want to get. I just want to get stars. I just want to get stars.
What do you think if like Houston and San Antonio are way more stingy with their assets than anyone thought, and Philly's like Paul George to salary match the 3rd pick and some other shit for Giannis?
I mean, if I'm the Bucks, I don't know. Maybe you got to take that. Get the 3rd pick.
And how weird would that team be? They could score a lot.
Yeah, they could score.
If
a
you've
lot.
got Maxey, Grimes, the rookie, McCain, Giannis, and the ghost of Joel.
I mean, the tough thing is Giannis and Joel definitely have a pretty low floor, I think, in a couple of years, like the two of them together, and they're going to be on your team for a long time.
And that team's going to get really expensive with Maxey's contract, Giannis's contract, and Embiid's contract.
But you know what? They're expensive right now, the way they're built out. So, like, and they're going to be playing around all minimums, which also is kind of like the tough thing about it. Because, I mean, I think if there's anything we learned this playoffs is you can't do that shit anymore.
What is your level of confidence Giannis does get traded to Houston or San Antonio?
Not high.
Like 40% he goes to one of those two teams? 30%?
35?
35?
Yeah,
okay.
30,
Like 1 and 3?
35.
1 and 3?
Yeah. Because it's like, yeah, those teams make a lot of sense. But, I mean, I think I even saw today that there was a rumor that Giannis wanted to be traded, like, within the East. Like, if Giannis wants to win, like, let's be real, has the East ever been more wide open than it is right now?
Going into next year? I don't know.
It's just super wide open.
Yeah, the Tatum injury has really thrown the conference into whack.
The other thing I wonder with this whole Giannis thing is just like how much like power of choice does he have? Like, is he going to be able to handpick where he goes and just be sent there because he's Giannis and he delivered a championship to Milwaukee?
I don't know. I feel like there's no real... It's funny to say there's no real precedent when Kareem happened, but obviously none of us were even a thought when Kareem happened, so...
Yeah, I mean, it is completely different, you know? I mean, like, he did have his... I think it's... I don't know. In modern day, like... You would think, like, for a contributor for a franchise, it would be, like, kind of a comparable thing to Dame, but obviously they didn't give Dame that agency. KD did handpick where he went when he got traded to the Suns. But that was also like a weird circumstance.
Yeah, I feel like we just don't know for this one. Is there any other teams in the lottery that you want to talk about where they're picking?
Not really. I mean, I think, yeah, not really. I just haven't. I don't know enough about the draft yet to get too deep in the weeds of this, but I definitely feel for you, Charlotte, Utah, and Washington fans.
I don't feel for Utah, only because they, out of those three teams, they just threw games.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's something yucky about what Utah did this year where I'm kind of happy they didn't get it.
Toronto, I feel kind of bad for. They're picking 9th for like the 12th time in a row.
Yeah.
All right. I feel like do you have best take, worst takes for this late night edition?
Yeah, I got to give my worst take to my boy Max Strus, who I'm a big fan of. I loved him on the Miami Heat. I was sad when he got signed away by the Cavs. Thought it was a great signing by the Cavs, actually. And I thought he played pretty well at different points in this Pacers series. I know they lost badly, but apparently before Game 5, Max Strus texted, "If you don't believe, don't show up to work." And then he shot 0 of 9.
That's legendary confidence right there. Yeah, that's a pretty bad take. My worst take of the week goes to Jeff Goodman, who is like a longtime NBA draft guy. I think he works for like CBS right now, or maybe he's just doing his own podcast, but he's been all over like the traditional media map. And he said that Cooper Flagg is the easiest number 1 selection we've seen in a long time. And I don't know where he was 2 years ago during the Victor Wembanyama draft, but that was only 2 years ago.
Yeah. It's so funny now that Cooper Flagg is resetting the Victor Wembanyama has reset the like best prospect since.
Yeah.
Those were really funny. Like I thought it was always really funny when it was like Zion was get drafted. He's like, well, he's the best prospect since LeBron James. I'm like, were you alive when Anthony Davis was in the draft? Because when Anthony Davis was in the draft, he was considered like a once in a decade prospect.
Yeah, AD was definitely like a better prospect than Zion, I feel.
For sure. I think since I started watching basketball, like number one prospects, it would have to go Wemby 1 for sure, and AD was probably number 2.
Yeah. I mean, Coop is probably more comparable to a Zion.
Yeah.
Because Zion was really, a sick prospect.
Really yeah.
But he definitely, I think, had more downside than any of the guys that we're talking about right now.
Yeah.
Like, more akin to maybe even like a Greg Oden type of guy.
You want to go on Hot Streak Shooting Slump?
Let's go to Hot Streak Shooting Slump. The part of the show where we talk about our last 7 days and decide if we are on a hot streak or a shooting slump. James?
Am I on a hot streak or a shooting? The back injury I talked about last week where my back it's still there. It's definitely getting better. I think this is the last week of it, but I'm going to go slump. It's kind of, I just haven't really been able to exercise, haven't been able to work out, haven't been able to do much. Anything physical I've just been avoiding, and that's kind of sucked. I haven't really enjoyed that. Also, I've just been driving a lot. Just a lot of driving lately. Today, it took me like 2 hours to get home. Like, that is too much.
Yeah, you left the warehouse at not a great time for driving. Yeah, that sucks. I feel bad. I feel for you, man. Your job is also not very conducive to you not being active.
Yeah.
I'm on a hot streak. I was super what's the word? It's late. I was super just not random, spontaneous. I was super spontaneous this weekend. My mother was in the hospital all last week because she's fine, but she was like put on a medication that like didn't vibe, and then they just had to like monitor her. But she got out last Friday, and me being the great son I am, and it being Mother's Day on Sunday, I jumped in my car Saturday morning just out of nowhere, and I was like, I got the weekend completely off. I don't have anything to do. I'm going to go and surprise my mom for Mother's Day. So when I didn't tell barely anyone but my fiance. I was about 2 minutes out, and I called my mom, and I'm just like, hey, what's going on? I've just been driving all day. And she's like, oh, okay, nice. And I was like, are you going to ask where I was driving to? And she was like, oh, I guess. I was like, I'm here. And she's like, no way. So that was a fun little surprise. And
I thought she was going to say no and just hang up.
Yeah, that's probably more like it. She was in a better mood because she had just come home. But so yeah, I spent the weekend in Phoenix, in Phoenix Scottsdale area, and just helped my parents pack up their house a little bit, and it was pretty low key. A lot of driving, but that's okay. I had a lot of podcasts. The podcasts in the NBA world come out quick and fast nowadays, so it was nice to get a little centered, get renewed. Yeah.
How hot is it in Phoenix right now?
It was like 105.
Oh my god.
It was pretty hot.
Oh my god. We had like a quick heat flash this last weekend, and I thought I was dying. I don't know, Patrick, I don't know how you survived the rough streets of Arizona.
It was all I knew. And I'm not going back.
Oh, shout out to everyone who lives in Arizona, man. You guys are warriors, like true troopers.
Thank you for not moving to California just yet.
It'll happen.
They will all do it for at least a little while. Yeah, maybe. Denver's no, don't go to Denver.
Don't go to Denver.
Who knows what's going on in Denver? All right, James. It's late. It's 11:15.
It's very late.
We gotta try to get this podcast up. That's all I've got for today. You got anything else?
I don't. I'm just rooting for Game 7. I'm excited for Game 7. NBA, why is Knicks Celtics going to be on Monday instead of Sunday if there is a Game 7?
They're just stretching it out.
I just wanted two Game 7s. Game 7 Sunday. It feels good.
Just copy the NFL's homework, guys.
Yes.
That's all you got to do.
Just cheat.
Just put all the games
everybody
on Sunday.
wants you to cheat on this assignment.
It is diagrammed out. It's an open notes test. That's all you got to do. It's not even cheating.
Yeah. All right, we will catch you guys next week.
Peace.